Hey, Steve Riley, welcome back to Great Practice, Great Life. And before we get too deep into this episode, I just want to say thanks. Thanks for being here. I'm grateful to have you here. I'm grateful to have the privilege on behalf of the Atticus community to talk to you and to talk to people like John and share the things that he's sharing to help you have a great life and a great practice. So I appreciate you making the time to listen to John. I know how busy life can be for everyone. I don't want to take your time for granted. But if you could, please, if you haven't already, the way that we grow our own audience, we grow or die, is to get people like you to give us 5-star reviews and support us. If you like this particular episode, don't hesitate to text it to a friend or share it. Atticus, we're here to help lawyers have a great practice, great life. And sometimes the only way we do that is when other lawyers help each other. Now, in part one, we've talked about John scaling Morgan & Morgan, building proprietary systems, turning his personal mantra into grow or die into a national empire. He's in all 50 states. Today, we're going to shift a little bit. As I said in the prior episode, John is 69 at the time of the recording of this. He and his wife, Ultima, have been married for 43 years. Now, one of the things I want you to listen for in this episode is some of his lessons in raising kids. Matt, Mike, and Dan are all attorneys in the law firm, and his daughter Katie runs her own business, a beautiful retail shop here in Florida. And the values that he thought were critical in raising the children with discipline, work ethic, and humility, it comes through loud and clear. And he also talks about what it takes to be a vision maker. And I'll let you hear it from him, how he thinks about that, and how you can take what you learn from him, that life is not just about performance and growing the law firm. It's about having a great life. So here's some things to listen for. Number one, how does John think about leading high-performing teams? Next, why does he believe that his systems must be transparent and leaderboards are absolutely crucial and not micromanagement? He believes in transparency and scorekeeping. Why? Next, how did he and his amazing wife, Ultima, raise 4 successful grounded kids without spoiling them? I mean, if anyone could argue that their kids could easily kick back and just be trust fund babies, it would be these 4 kids, right? Nope, 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 not the way John approaches this. And last but not least, what does it mean to be a vision maker, not just a visionary, and how to overcome what John calls the vision blockers in your life? Great. Now, there's a lot in this episode, so I hope you enjoy it, and thank you for being here.
Welcome to Great Practice, Great Life by Atticus Incorporated. What if you could hang out with successful small and solo law firm attorneys, ask them about their successes and failures, their business strategies and mindset habits, then take an insight or two to guide your own growth in your practice? Each week, Steve Riley shares an in-depth look at how to work less while maintaining high client service standards, reduce your stress levels while growing your income, and find time to make changes when you are time-starved. Steve is a lawyer coach for more than 20 years and a former trial attorney. His goal is to provide strategies to help you balance your lives and grow your practice. Now, here's Steve.
When everyone is accountable, no one is accountable. I will repeat that unless you've heard it before. When everyone is accountable, no one's accountable. And so what I mean by that is, if something happens, I want to be able to say, who dropped the ball? So I really spend a lot of time making sure, you're responsible for our insurance. You are responsible for procurement. You are responsible, like Mike Smith in my firm, he's responsible for all real estate and all leases. And he has a girl that works under him that goes around the country. So Mike's accountable for that. Bart Zadell's accountable for Social Security. For everybody listening, if you hear nothing else, when everyone's accountable, no one's accountable. And when no one's accountable, bad things happen. Rogue traders, rogue lawyers go off the reservation.
Fantastic advice. How have you managed rogue lawyers going off the reservation in your career?
Well, sometimes you can't. Sometimes you can't. because now, when a rogue lawyer goes off the reservation, like the other day, we have a deal where you're not allowed to settle a case for $50,000 up without going through what we call the big case committee. We had a lawyer that did it twice, and we fired him immediately. Sometimes you got to shoot and kill the chicken to scare the monkeys. So, just envision a classroom full of monkeys doing whatever they want and a chicken in there stirring it up. But you walk in with a gun and you kill the chicken. The monkeys are all now in their seat. They're not there. You have to sometimes shoot and kill the chicken to scare the monkeys.
John, I have to tell you, some of the stories that you say and the phrases you come up with are just fantastic.
Well,
I love
So I had to shoot a chicken a couple of weeks ago, and look, why did he do it? I know why he did it. He needed money. He was wanting to. And then he lied about it, and then he said that he had, but he needed money. He needed money, and that's the problem, because some people may need money more than the client needs money, and they're looking to get their bonus. And he went around us and lied about it and did it twice, and then tried to cover it up, and was like, hey, listen, man. And when he did it, we let all the monkeys understand why so-and-so was let go. He went around the big case committee and settled a case on his own. So
you gave him a first pass, and then the second pass, you're like, okay, no way.
You give them. Sometimes you don't give them. If the rogue activity is so bad, you have no choice. But the other thing you got to do is listen. You can smell things. I have a thing. I got a Zen. I don't know if your people ever heard of Zendesk. It's a fabulous software. When we get client complaints from on lawyers, it all goes to our client satisfaction department. Complaint comes in, it goes to the lawyer. The lawyer has to make it right. Then it comes back that it's been right. Now, when we do that, we keep a record of all the different complaints. Who's number one, who has none. We find that the people who are the highest on the Zendesk with complaints are the lawyers who are most likely to be the rogues, who are most likely to be the underperformers, who are most likely to be the ones who are doing a sloppy job. So we watch that Zendesk report very closely to see client complaints. The Zendesk reports is almost like a weather report, a radar, where you see the black clouds coming in, and it's not raining yet, but you see lightning on it. There's lightning. You know there's going to be a storm. Now, when you see it, you gotta excise that person. And everybody knows. And by the way, we circulate the Zendesk report firm-wide. Everybody gets to see who's won. I'm big on leaderboards. I'm big on not managing and sitting down with people. Just, here it is. You're number one. You're dead last. And we do it with fees. We do it with Zendesk. We do it with complaints. We do it with everything. We do leaderboards. And I manage by leaderboards because I don't need to go and, horsewhip grown people. I just let them, read it. Here it is. Here's who you are. Here's where your standing is. Here's where you are. And we do it by groups. Here's the workers' comp lawyers. Here's the number one producer. Here's the bottom producer. Here you all are. Why are you last and why is he first? Why is he doing $1 million more in fees than you? What's the difference? You got the same amount of cases. And over time, they also get the message and they will fire themselves because they know they know it's not happening.
John, another question. How have you managed Prima Donnas, or do you not? Do you let the leaderboard sort it out? Do you let your manager sort it out? When you have a very talented lawyer that you're like, this lawyer's a rock star, but they're kind of roguish. How do you manage them?
Well, I'm circled by prima donnas and crazy people. I mean, look, the crazy people are the ones that get the big verdicts. And the prima donnas became prima donnas because they got the big verdicts. And so I tell people this all the time. If you're going to build a great circus, there's two ways to build a circus. You can have a bullshit circus. You've seen them in the Winn-Dixie parking lot with an elephant with one tusk and a seal hot and a drunk clown walking around. That's one circus. Then there's the greatest show on earth, the big circus with the lions and the tigers and the guy walking on the ringling circus. And why do people go to the circus? They go for two reasons. They want to see the lions and the tigers and the bears eat the man in the ring. And they also want to see Walinda fall off without a net the rope, the
high wire.
High wire.
Yeah.
So how do you stop from being eaten with your animals? You have to feed them and love them. Feed them and love them. And how do you not fall off the high wire? Focus. And when you get too old, you don't get up on the high wire. Walinda finally died old. There's a time and a place. You got to get off the high wire. So feed them and love them. But you got to have prima donnas and you got to have crazy people, because those are the people who get the results. And then what you got to do, and what I've always done is I don't do anything by discretion. I don't give discretionary bonuses. There's a formula. My prima donnas have a formula, and it goes like this. When you collect money, there's a piece of it that you and I have already agreed to, and as soon as it hits the bank, you're getting it at the end of the month. You're not waiting for me to go, I really want to bonus you for that trial. No, you submit your, and I believe that that's been part of my secret sauce, that there is no discretion, that money is formulaic. And then I also have allowed over time people to buy into the partnership. I have 140 partners, and one partnership point yields a lot of money for these lawyers. So once you get to a certain point, then we come and say, we would like to have you join the partnership. Now they buy in, they pay in, but I like that too, because when you have an owner as a partner, they're turning the lights off, they're paying more attention, they're looking at the workers' comp department, they're looking at everything, because now they are an owner. And so the pay is formulaic, and for 140 of them, they have ownership.
They pay close attention.
Very
close attention. Everything from cost per file to
cost per acquisition. And it's all transparent. It's, here are the financials. Our financials are audited. Not many firms have audited financials. We audit our financials. We want to know that we're making sure, because that's another place where people can go rogue. You can have rogue people we did $5 billion in settlements and verdicts last year, and we did $2 billion in fees. There can be a lot of crooked stuff go on when you're dealing with that kind of money. Even in accounting, you can have rogue accounting. So that's why I do audited financials.
It makes sense. When did you shift to audited financials? At what point in your career and the growth of the firm, you think?
I'd say 6 years ago, maybe, because it's expensive.
Yeah.
It's expensive. And the other thing is, a lot of people don't want to do it because of the cost, but a lot of people don't want to know. Because a lot of times, you find out, oh my God, look what we found, look what we found. You might have a bunch of write-offs you've never taken. And now you got to eat all that in one day. So there are people who are denialist, ostriches, that they think by keeping their head in the sand that it's not really happening. The only thing that's happening is it's getting worse, because a problem never gets better. It only gets worse on its own.
It's funny, John. The first time I heard you speak was probably 20, 25 years ago in Tampa. And I met you then briefly, but you spoke at a trial lawyer's lunch. And one of the funniest things you said, which I totally respected, now I really appreciate, was that you told a group of, quote, competitors, other trial lawyers, that you could give them your hard drive and that they would do nothing with it. What did you mean by that?
Happiness is decided by us. We have the power to control it, to have it, and to design it however we see fit.
It doesn't matter how strong you are, it's how synchronized you are that drives you forward.
The difference in AI is that it is a unique innovation in the world of communications.
I kept doing the same stupid things over and over and over, expecting a different response. That's the definition of insanity. You've got to figure out, what do you care about?
I came for the money, and I'm staying for the great life.
Passion, knowledge, and then monetization.
You don't get the culture that you want, you get the culture that you are.
Oh my God, Atticus was amazing. That's subliminal messaging.
The biggest improvement is just being way more present to my family.
The community is phenomenal.
I'm surrounded by exceptional legal professionals.
Atticus saved my life.
Building a perpetual law firm is not about building a law firm at all. It's about how you lead a great life.
What I mean by that is this: practice makes perfect, and the more you do, the better you get. When I was a boy, I did magic at Walt Disney World, and I was in the stores. I was in Main Street Magic and Merlin's Magic, and we sold magic tricks. And people would come in, and I was pretty good at it. And people would come in, and I would do magic tricks, and then they would buy it. And they'd buy this, they'd buy this, they'd buy this, they'd buy this. And then I'd see them with a bag outside Cinderella's castle, ripping the stuff open and looking to see how it worked. They're really more interested in how does this work? And I'd be looking out there, looking at them, I thought, boy, they waste a lot of money because they're never going to be able to do it, because it takes years and years and years of being in front of a mirror and turning the cups and balls over and doing it this way and doing it this way and sliding your feet. It doesn't just happen. So I can give you the magic trick with the directions, but you're never going to be able to do the magic trick. So I must have said it remembering my days at Merlin's Magic and Main Street Magic, where I'd sell thousands of dollars worth of magic to people who were never going to be able to do the trick because they're not going to put the time in. Look, one of the things that separates us from everybody is this. Most people say, here's the problem. You got to try your best cases and settle your worst cases. And they're right. But here's what happens. Your best case is worth, let's say, 6-7 million. But they get to 1, 2, 3, 3.5, and you're like, I got $500,000 in cost, and you take it. We don't. That's why the big case committee is so important. Matt's sitting there with the committee and like, no. And we got lawyers coming. I want to settle it for 3. No. 3.5. No. 4. No. That's why transparency and automation is important. So what we do is we try our best cases. When we have a $100,000 policy and we got them in bad faith, and then they come up and say after 2 years, okay, we're going to pay you the $100,000. Like, no, you're not. We're going to get a verdict. We're going to go get a verdict, and then we're going to come back and get a bad faith verdict. It takes time. And it eats into cash flow. So a lot of lawyers are hanging on. And when I started this deal, my CFO was like, John, if we're going to try this many cases, we could have a serious cash flow problem. I said, let's just get on. But now we're on the other side of it. And once you get on the other side of it, it's like an oil field. You got to get the oil, you got to tap it, get the pipes down, pump it. Takes a lot of time. But once you get it capped and get the pipes down and get it then you got something.
Here's the next question, John. You have accomplished more than probably any lawyer I've ever met in their career as far as growth of a business and also with your family. How do you stay motivated? What keeps you getting up and growing and dying yourself? What keeps you motivated?
Well, there's three things that have been an advantage to me. Number one, I don't golf. I golfed as a kid in college, and to me, golf's a waste of time. To me, golf, when Tiger Woods is hitting the ball in the water, I'm not interested. And to me, golf is what people do. They're bored shitless and they don't know what to do. So at least when they golf, they can say they did something. I don't like to fish either. I've never understood the idea of catch and release. I don't like the idea of ripping a fish's jaw off and then throwing him back in the water. If I want fish, I just go down to the fish store and buy fish. And I don't hunt. People are hunting deer. I mean, I don't like venison. I can taste the fur. So the three big things that men do to kill time, I don't do. I hunt money, and I enjoy hunting money. So my hobby was not golf. I built this chain of attractions called WonderWorks, and I loved building it because it was almost like a stamp collection, but it was. And today my WonderWorks has $33 million a year in EBITDA with zero debt. I built another attraction called Alcatraz East. I'm building a chain called Downtown Flavor Town with Guy Fieri. I enjoy business. I enjoy the idea of having an idea, building it, something really wild, and then America says, I like it. I accept it. I want to do it. And it's like a hobby. It's not like it's some people want to collect stamps. Well, I don't want to collect stamps. And I want to collect like at Alcatraz East. Here's my collection. I have Ted Bundy's VW. I have Bonnie and Clyde Death Car. I have John Dillinger's sedan, and I have the OJ Bronco. I'd rather collect that stuff and make money. And Alcatraz Eats makes $5 million a year net. So I'm having fun. That's my collection. That's my hobby. But my hobby is also making money. So I have found that for me, because I don't have the three big hobbies, golf, hunting, and fishing, that my hobbies really became business and my family. And that's what I like to do. And I'm very busy. I've just written my third and final book. I've written You Can't Teach Hungry, and I've written You Can't Teach Vision. They're both on Amazon. And I've just finished my third book, which I'm not going to tell you the title of yet, but it's kind of a book about my life and how I approach life. And it's really about this. Life and business is about many thousand left turns, right turns, U-turns, back up. And one different turn, everything changes. One different turn, everything changes. And as a result of that, a lot of what has happened to me and to you and to all of us is luck. But none of us want to ever say we were lucky because, that takes away from what we did, But I'm lucky. I'm so lucky because I can tell you different times if it got a different way. Look, when I was in law school, I decided one day to go to church in the middle of the week. Not because I was a religious guy, I just wanted to clear my head. And I walk across the street from the law school. I go into St. Augustine for a 5 o'clock mass. And I look up in the communion line and I see this girl in line. I'm like, wow, I like that. And it turned out to be Ultima. And I went out back after mass and introduced myself and got her number. If I had not gone to church that day, I never meet her. I never marry her. All these 4 kids are not mine. It's a totally different life. Just that one day. And there's thousands of it. So I don't pat myself on the back. Now, what I say about luck to people, because I was telling this guy a real self-made guy the other day I met, and I was telling him about my theory on luck, and he was having none of it. He was like, no, I built this. I built this. I worked my ass off. I built this. The thing about luck is this. There is luck, but the people who have the most luck are the people who are always looking for opportunities. If you're not looking for luck, you can never have luck. So one of the things, as I look back on my life, is I have always been looking for opportunities. And that's critical, because if you don't play the lottery, you can't ever win the lottery. And the more bingo cards you have, the better chance you have of winning bingo. So you got to be looking for opportunity. And then when you find opportunity, when you find luck, you got to really double down on luck. And here's the deal. In life, it's like a casino. When you go to a casino, there's rules in the casino. There's the book. 2 aces, you split them. 16, you don't hit them. We got those rules in life all the time. Location, location, location. How many times have you seen somebody going into a location and you say to yourself, they're dead. They're dead. They're dead. They're dead. Why? Because they hit on 16. And there's just the same rules we got in Vegas for splitting aces. And every time you get another ace, you got to split it and split it and split it and split it and split it all the way forever. You got to do what the book says. And you need to do it, but some people don't in life. They go ahead and get a bad location. Say, hey, the rent's going to be a little bit cheaper. I'm going to go up on the second floor. If you're up on the second floor, you're out of business, because nobody's making money up on the second floor. But people try to force things, break the rules. So I've taken a real hard, as I wrote this book, I've took a real hard look at myself in the back. And the one part of the book is called Paperboy. Because why Paperboy? Because I have found in life, and here's the biggest lucky thing we have, that some of us are born with an entrepreneurial seed at birth. At birth. I'll meet people, even like you. I would not be surprised if you were not a paper boy once upon a time, or something like it as a kid, because you are an entrepreneur. I can just smell it. I don't know what you did at 10 and 11.
Lawns. It was lawns, John. Both
Lawns
in the neighborhood. I tried to get one of the local condominium associations because it was big to let me mow their lawn at age 13. They ended up hiring me instead. Yep.
Paper boys, lawn, shoveling snow. Selling seeds. Remember selling seeds?
Oh, yeah.
But there's those kids. And by the way, most of the kids aren't mowing lawns. Most of the kids aren't doing a paper route. You know why? It's hard. It's hard. But you were built to work. And I was built to work. And I was built with an entrepreneurial seed, the same seed you were built with. And so that paper route was hard because it was every single day. Rain, sleet, snow, whatever, freezing, but you had to do it. Warren Buffett was a paper boy. Oprah Winfrey was a paper girl. There's something that inside of some of us that we have that entrepreneurial seed, and that's luck. That's luck. Because today in the jungle, a lion will be born and he'll be the king, and a sloth will be born and he's screwed just by being born. So we got to make sure as we do well that we spend a lot of time thanking nature or God or whoever for the luck that we have, because it's not all us.
John, you have wrapped that in an incredible envelope of gratitude. You and Ultima have been married, I think, 43 years?
Yep.
You have 3 remarkable sons, a remarkable daughter, all of which your 3 sons have graduated law school. All 3 have great reputation. All 3 are heading up strategic departments of your law firm. Your daughter has her own business, Violet Clover. What did you do in raising these kids? What did you and Ultima do to these kids to make them entrepreneurial driven when they probably, you and Ultima, whatever you would just leave them, they would be fine. But these are not trust fund babies. These are driven, thoughtful, well-respected adults that you've raised. What's the secret?
When people ask me that, it goes like this. First of all, you got to put a lot of time in. You got to spend a lot of time. If you don't know them, you don't know them. If you don't know them, you can't fix them. If you don't listen to them. So we were a family that ate together as much as we could. When there wasn't sports and the weather was nice, on Fridays we went to the beach together and we stayed together Friday, Saturday, Sunday. We'd come back, we'd grill out, watch 60 Minutes, rinse and repeat. We spent a lot of time around the kitchen table, naming states and naming presidents and doing spelling. And we spent a lot of time together. We were consistent in our discipline, and there were consequences for certain things. But and then we never spoiled them. A lot of people, I see these people buy their kids Mercedes and BMWs. They're really doing it for themselves. They want to show the world that they're successful, but they're screwing their kids. My kids drove 8-year-old Navigators and Explorers because, look, they're going to wreck it anyway. They're going to ding it anyway. So let's ding it then. And I made them work. One Christmas, we're sitting around the table, and I said to Mike and Matt, they were 16 and 14, and I said, when are you all going to go down and get your hours at WonderWorks? That's the attraction I own. I said, we need to get your hours. And Mike said, nobody at Bishop Moore is working this Christmas. I said, well, that's just not true. And Matthew said, no, nobody's working. I don't know anybody that's working over Christmas. And I said, that's just not true. And they said, it is true, Daddy. I said, listen, I know it's not true because you two are working. And you two go to Bishop Moore. And so, but here's the good news. If you want to work from 8 to 5, work from 8 to 5. If you want to work from 12 to 9, work from 12 to 9. If you want to work from 5 to 2, and you don't have to work on Christmas Day and you don't have to work on New Year's Eve, but you are going to work 40 hours. You know, Dan got fired from WonderWorks. And when Dan got fired from WonderWorks for being a smartass, I said, you're not leaving the house till you got a job. He got a job at Boston Market, but didn't like it because he said they had him washing dishes and he's supposed to be cooking. I said, think about that, Dan. They think so highly of you. They got you in the damn dishwasher room. He quit there. He comes home. He said, I couldn't take the smell. I said, well, that's okay, but you're never leaving this house unless it's to go to school or look for a job. And then he got a job at Firehouse Subs, and he became a great steamer and steaming Firehouse Subs. You have to make them work. You have to make them work. You can't buy them the Mercedes. And then when they went to college, I bought them a brand new car for the warranty, and it wasn't a big fancy car. I was like, here it is. This is your 7-year car. And at the end of 7 years, I'm going to buy you one more car. And that's going to be the car that's going to take you on. So that's how I did it with my kids. I was lucky. I'm not smart. I'm smart enough to know what I'm not smart about. But Ultima is very smart. She's a national merit finalist, she aced law school. I was, hanging on. But thank God, because after third grade, I could barely help them with math after the third grade. But Ultima knew algebra and trigonometry. I'm over there like, what's that? And so we were a good combination. And I used to tell the kids, and they remember this, B's are your enemies. An A and a B is a 3.5. An A and 2 B's is a 3.2. An A and 3 B's, you're going to junior college. And we were on them constantly. B's are your enemy. And you got to get that grade to get to the next level, the next level, and next level. So, but I would say time. You got to spend the time with them.
All right, John, I know you got another appointment coming up. I appreciate and I'm grateful. Any last words of wisdom to our audience?
I would just say to your audience that it's easy to have the book I wrote called You Can't Teach Vision. There are visionaries that we talk about all the time. Oh, he's a visionary. But no, everybody's a visionary. But being a vision maker is a totally different deal. Is Steve Jobs a visionary? Yes, he's a visionary, but he was a vision maker. When my kids were little, we'd go to Mass, and we'd come out of Mass, and we'd go to Denny's, and the crayons were rolling off the table, and I used to pick them up the whole breakfast, and I used to tell my wife, hey, somebody needs to invent a crayon that doesn't roll. And one day we go into Mass, and I look up, they give us the crayons, and they were made out of triangles. And I look at Ultima and I go, look, this is what I've been talking about. This was my vision. Shit, somebody has stolen my vision. And she's over there, yeah. I said, how many times have I said and that was the day I realized there's a difference between a visionary and a vision maker. And the difference is one dreams it, but one does it. And along your way, as you go from visionary to vision maker, remember this, there's going to be a bunch of people in between that I call vision blockers. They're going to try to stop you for a variety of reasons. There are people out there that would rather see a total stranger win the lottery than their own family because of envy. There are people out there that are not risk takers. You could have a spouse who's comfortable in their life and they don't want you to have your vision. And then finally, what I would say to everybody, the number one vision blocker is you. Because to be a vision maker, you have to have guts. You have to believe in yourself. And so what I would say to everybody is dream it, do it, and don't let the vision blockers block your dream. Because if you work hard enough, dreams can and do come true.
John, fantastic. Thank you. Thank you for your wisdom, your advice, and your insight in just being authentically you, like you always have been. Every time I've interacted with you, talked to you, seen you speak, you're just you. And thank you. Thank you.
I also believe this. When you help other people, there's a book that everybody should read called Give and Take. There's a lot of people who give wanting to get something in return. But when you give expecting nothing in return, it's when you're going to get the most in return. So when I have the opportunity to help you with your business, and when Denise calls me to help her, it's better to say yes than to say no, because it always comes back in spades.
Thank you, John. Thank you. I know you got to go, so I appreciate it. Hey, when the book comes out, we'd love to have you get back on and talk about your book.
All right.
All right, sir. Thank you. So it's Steve again. Thank you for being here and hanging out with us today and having this amazing conversation with the one and only John Morgan. We're very grateful for him, very grateful what he provided to us as a community. I'm really grateful that he's living a great life and a great practice at a whole different level that most people do. Now, I would like to just point out 3 quick things. 1, if you're new to Atticus and you're like, how can we help you have a great practice, great life? Take advantage of the link below and let them know that you heard this particular podcast, and we'll hook you up with a free assessment on how you're doing on developing your own great life and great practice. Just let us know. Tell me, listen to the podcast, hit this link, and we'll set it up for you. Number 2, I want you to take a few minutes and listen to what John shared with you and say, what can I apply from what I heard John share today? Where do I have a vision? And am I a dreamer, a visionary? Or am I a vision maker? And are there vision blockers in my way that I need to work through? And just think about whatever that is may be in your life. Maybe it's a trip. Maybe it's where you want to grow your firm. Whatever it is in your life, I just want you to take a few minutes and say, listening to this man who's done some extraordinary things with his life, what can you learn and what can you apply to get that element of your great life and great practice growing? But last but not least is one of my favorite things about the whole interview. And I don't know if you heard it, but I'm going to highlight it and just encourage you to listen for a moment about this before you drop off. John is incredibly successful. Incredibly successful. He drops names and numbers on this episode. But my favorite thing about this episode is John's attitude of gratitude. For someone who's built a law firm with 1,000 lawyers, raised 4 fantastic kids, written best-selling books, thinking about running for governor, it would be really, really easy to hear big ego. It'd be really easy to say, I am amazing. Nah, he comes at it with a whole level of humility, and what you hear is gratitude. I've been lucky. I was at the right church at the right time because I need to clear my head in law school and met my wife, Ultima. I was in the right place at the right time in Florida and starting my practice. And I'm looking always for opportunity. I'm looking for opportunity, and I find opportunity because I'm a lucky guy. Not because I'm brilliant, not because I'm the smartest dude on the planet, because I'm lucky. And here's the 3 things I learned from that. 1, be grateful for where you've been lucky in your life. I'm incredibly grateful that I'm lucky to have married the woman I've married. I could not imagine being married to anyone else. And she is just the greatest thing that's ever happened to me. I thank the good Lord every day for her. And every day I'm just waking up just grateful to have her in my life. 2, acknowledge the people and the moments that shaped your path. As I said at the beginning of the first episode with John, I'm privileged to be part of a community of people that are playing the game of great practice, great life. I'm not alone, like driving this boat. Nope. I've got a whole team of people, and we're supporting each other and holding each other up when things get rough. And I'm really grateful for them. And 3rd, what's the next opportunity? What's the next opportunity? Gratitude doesn't make you passive. An attitude of proactive gratitude makes you present. And when you're present, you lead differently, you live differently, and you think like a vision maker. So today I leave you with this. Where can you be more grateful? Where have you been lucky? Who do you need to thank? And what opportunity is sitting right in front of you that you need to take advantage of? Now, if this episode inspired you and you're new, please subscribe. If this series inspired you, subscribe. If you liked it, share it with somebody else. John's wisdom is something that is meant to be shared. He came onto this podcast to share his thinking and share what's great about his life. And with that, thank you. Thanks for being part of the community. Thanks for supporting our little podcast. Thank you for supporting other people who are up to playing the game of great practice and great life. And look forward to having you on the next episode. Thanks for joining this week's episode of Great Practice, Great Life. Please tune in weekly to get the next episode. If you enjoyed the episode, please subscribe, like, and don't hesitate to share it with a friend who you think this episode could help. With that, thanks, and I hope you enjoy next week's episode.